Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, fellow practitioners of the deceptive arts. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you graciously once more as the voice of the vasectomites. And today I wanted us to talk about a topic that is very familiar to me and really one of the truest motivators of the deceptive arts. Yes, on the one hand, we have secrecy, which really drives us forward. It is really at the heart and soul of the deceptive arts. But alongside secrecy is another less discussed topic in the deceptive arts, but I believe equally just as important, just as powerful a motivator and a stimulant as are our secrets. And this is a topic that is very close and dear to my heart, and it is the topic of revenge and how to induce emotional pain on the people to whom you have disdain for. Now I know we've all been through a measure of emotional pain. And when discussing the topic of emotional pain, people really want to focus on the healing, right? On getting rid of the emotional pain and who hurt you and how were you hurt and how are you the victim, right? They really want to talk about how they've been hurt rather than talking about how they have or how they can hurt people. Most content on emotional pain and emotional hurt, I believe, is very superficial and quite shallow. It lacks depth. It lacks true insight. It's always discussed from the perspective and point of view of the one who claims to be the so-called victim. Oh, I'm the one that was hurt, blah, blah, blah. But of course, the victim will never tell you what they did. They will never discuss their part of this interaction, right? What they want to do is just talk about what they received, right? And how they incurred wrongfully, unjustifiably, the wrath of another person. And I'm here to tell you in honesty, right? I have never, or let me say unknowingly, but I don't believe that I have ever received somebody's wrath and didn't deserve it somehow, in some way or another, or in some measure where I could imagine having done something that would induce another person to want to respond in a certain way to me. Now, this could be something as, believe it or not, I'm going to give you an example that comes out of nowhere. This could be as something as simple as walking into a room and there's a counterpart and a knee bender, and the counterpart says, "Ooh, look at the ancient one. I like his bald head. I like his funny nose. I like his pointed ears. Or his squint eyes, or his crooked teeth, or whatever. His smelly breath. The counterpart likes whatever they want. There's really nothing you could say. Or I like the ancient one. Oh, there comes the ancient one on his walking stick and his hunchback, right? And the counterpart might say, "Oh, I want to rub that hunchback of the ancient one," and the knee bender would be induced to feel a particular way, right? They might be hurt by that, saying, "Well, I'm a knee bender and I go to the gym, or I'm a knee bender and I pay the bills, or I provide and protect, or I make sure that my spouse is happy in the house," and they might feel a particular way by that. They might feel hurt by that, or they might feel a certain way. But I can only imagine the type of situations, that my walking stick and hunchback has induced on knee benders and counterparts, right? So, but other than those situations that are unknown to me, those third party situations, the rest of them, 100% of them, every time that I've received somebody's wrath, I've deserved it. And I have not only done something to induce that person, you know, paying revenge on me, I then paid revenge on them paying revenge on me. Really, it can get that way. So I believe that if you too are at 100% record of this, I believe that if somebody has some feeling about you, it's probably because you said or did something, or didn't say or didn't do something to induce that, right? But these people, they when they talk about emotional hurt, they want to make themselves look like a good person, right? And thereby make themselves look good, right? And they make themselves look like a good person by, being a victim, thereby virtue signaling to knee benders and panderers, who will, of course, sympathize with them, as well as the sympathizers, right? So you get the knee benders, the panderers, the sympathizers, just for talking about their emotions, just for talking about their feelings, right? The sympathizers, the panderers, the knee benders, they'll all come in and surround the counterpart, thereby giving the counterpart what they want, right? Giving them their number one most favorite thing in the entire world, attention, male attention. There is nothing they want more than male attention. Because you know why? Do you really want to know why male attention is so valuable? Because there's no such thing as female attention for a counterpart. She's not, think about it as a man, right? When you're with a man, as a man, I'm going to say a particular type of man, right? So you guys are not attracted to each other or anything. It's just two men in a room. Simple as that. There's no attraction. There is zero attraction. Like, you don't even recognize anything that could be attractive about this person until a counterpart mentions it, right? So if the ancient one was to walk into a room with his limp and his hunchback and his walking stick and his crooked teeth and his squint eyes and his broken nose and his balding head, right, with just one hair sticking out on the side, right, a complete mismatch, right? Most men wouldn't recognize that. They wouldn't even see it. They wouldn't notice any of those features. But the counterpart, you'll notice every single detail on that man, right? Because why? Because there's a potential for attraction. So either he might be attracted to her, or she might be attracted to that walking stick and that limp, right? So, but when there's two men, there's nothing like that. Now think of the same thing with counterparts. When two women are together, there's no attraction. There is no attraction. I'm telling you, there is no attraction. Zero, zero attraction. Right? The only attraction that counterparts will ever get, the only a type of, like, you can only get this type of attention from a man. You're not getting it from a woman. The best she might get from a woman is sympathy and empathy, right? So the woman understands what you're going through only because they went through it, or only because they are scared of going through what you went through. But then it's not really about you, it's really about how they feel about your situation. So they're considering their feelings before your situation. In other words, they don't really care about you. Women don't care nothing about each other the way that men don't care nothing about each other. But men have the capacity of working together towards a common goal so that we can both be winners, right? And then as winners, we can battle it out at the top to see who's number one. But if it's you and me against them, we can work together, right? But counterparts, they cannot. So just understand that. Just understand that this is why they love attention from men, because they're not getting this type of attention from women. A woman is not gonna offer to buy another woman a car, a house, take her on a trip. They will go together and pay for themselves, right? But if you as a man go on a trip, even if I'm telling you, just consider this. Even if she pays half of the hotel bill and buys her own ticket, the rest of the trip, you're paying for it. You're paying for taxis, buses, you're paying for trains, any type of transportation that you take. Anywhere you go, you're paying. You're paying for the tours, you're paying for the meals, you're paying for the drinks, you're paying for everything else. Entrances, all that, you're paying for. She may just buy her own ticket and pay a portion of the hotel room. And that is gonna bankrupt her, right? But she's not getting that from another woman. She's not getting, a 70% of her hotel bill paid for, and then a portion, 50% of her plane ticket paid for, and then every activity and every meal and every souvenir bought on her behalf. She's not getting that from another woman. Absolutely, absolutely not. This can only come from a man. The only person that's willing to do this for her is a man. No one else. This is why male attention is so valuable. Not just attention. Like, she can get attention for crying. Nobody cares. That fake support on the internet means nothing for her. What she wants, really what she wants, is male attention, because male attention is literally valuable, right? So she's gonna call in the panderers, the knee benders, the sympathizers to all come and support her in her emotional journey. For me, a vasectomite, they don't look good to me. They don't look good as a person. They don't look good in their situation. To me, they look weak. They look fragile. They look pathetic, right? They look like they need that sympathy, but they do need it. They really do need it, right? Because they're not gonna get that attention anywhere else. For some people, emotional pain induces them to want to come and save the day. When they see this, they want to come and be the hero, right? But for us, for you and me, a practitioner of the deceptive arts, what they did is they just exposed themselves, right? They just exposed a way that I can hurt them in the future or at another time should I choose to, right? They exposed a what they call a chink in their armor, which can be exposed. As a practitioner of the deceptive arts, you might say that, you know, at least as somebody who's beginning to practice the deceptive arts, you might even say to yourself that it's not your intention to hurt anyone, right? You may say that you don't want to induce physical or emotional pain on anyone. You just want to get your vasectomy and just want to protect yourself and to protect your seed and to protect your solitude, and this is enough, right? I would say, first of all, you're lying. First of all, you're lying. Perhaps what you mean to say is right now, off the top of your head, in this particular moment, based on your mood, you may not want to hurt anyone. You may not be able to even think of someone or come up with someone that you may want to induce emotional pain on. But I think if you give yourself a minute or two, you'll absolutely be able to come up with a couple of names, right? Definitely four or five, right? People are coming for you. Sun Tzu says that, the smart thing to do is not to sit and think and hope and pray that the enemy doesn't come, but rather to prepare yourself, and get yourself ready to receive him for when he does come, to make sure that your position is unassailable when he does decide to attack, because they are coming to attack. People are always coming to attack you. If they're not coming to attack you physically, they'll definitely attack you emotionally, or they'll attack your things, right? Even in your own past, I'm absolutely sure that there are some people that deserve your vengeance. I'm absolutely sure that there's somebody who deserves your vengeance. Either you may have done something to them inadvertently, and then they hurt you, and then you feel like you have the right to then pay revenge on them, right? And even if you may have done something to them, the fact that they hurt you is, I believe, a reason to just hurt them back, right? For whatever the circumstance. I'm not here to be fair. By the way, I mean, if you thought I was here to be fair and even healed with you, you are absolutely wrong. You must be out of your mind if you think I want to be equal with anyone. Are you insane? Why would I want that? Why would I want that? Why would you? Why would you want to be equal to some of these people? Have you seen how some people live, man? Come on, come on. We're not here to be equals. We're not here to be equals. I'm here to dominate, man. You know what I mean? I'm putting videos out every single day because I don't want a single moment to go by where people are like, oh, nothing is happening over on the vasectomy life. Let's ignore that. No, 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 no. No, no, no. I'm not here to be equal. I'm here to compete. I'm here to compete, and I know you are too. I know you are too, and I know that there are some people who you may have just competed with on a fair basis, right? And won, and they done something to you, and now you deserve your vengeance, and I know you want it. That's the thing. That's the thing. I know you want your vengeance. Whenever you think about that person that stole that dollar from you, that 25 cents in the third grade, man, it grinds you. It grinds you, right? It upsets you still. Like, that person had no right to take your stuff. You know what I mean? It still upsets you. I know it does. I know it does. Every injustice, real or perceived, it still upsets you. You know, and I know you want vengeance for some type of betrayal or some type of humiliation, right? Or maybe somebody cheated and then defeated you, or they have maybe they amused themselves at your expense or tried to amuse themselves at your expense, and the fact that they have a nerve to even attempt it, that should upset you, and I know it does. Either way, I'm sure you hate them. And you would love nothing more than to make them hurt. And then and and if that's the case, and if that's the case, then I want you to know, my friend, you've come to the right place. If you want to make those people hurt, especially emotionally, I want you to know you've come to the right place. If you are in the mood or in the market to deliver and dispense some devastating anguish, then let me say welcome. Welcome to you, my friend. Please sit down, make yourself comfortable, and let's have an open and honest discussion, you and I, about the people that we hate and how we can get them back. Let's first talk about inducing emotional pain in our enemies. Um, this is the course for us, right? As the practitioners of the deceptive arts, inducing emotional pain, particularly through the deceptive arts. This is really the art, right? This is really what the art is about. For one, emotional pain goes hand in hand with the deceptive arts, right? Whereas the counterparts, how you would say currency, their payoff is attention, right? When they receive attention, especially when they have to give out their details, or they love giving out their details. Oh, let me help you, let me do this and this and this, give me your number and I'll call you to help you with this issue, right? That means that the attention is going to extend beyond just the moment. So they got your attention, and tomorrow you'll call them to give them even more attention. This is their currency. Our currency is also not blood, right? I'm not against blood. I'm not against blood, but let's be clear: physical violence, while it's more efficacious, while it's more efficient, while it's more direct, it is still illegal. Physical violence is completely out of the question, right? If you assault anyone, or if you intimidate someone with aggression or extreme aggression, physical aggression, especially as a man, the chances are that you will ruin your own life along with the other person too, or even more than the other person. So, attention completely out of the question for us, right? Anonymity is my ally, right? So you wanna get attention? Good luck with all that. Let me know how it turns out. My advice to you is keep the end in mind. Keep the end in mind. No. Our currency is neither attention nor blood drawn from physical violence. No, no, no. Our currency is tears. Our currency is tears. You see, blood can be drawn to a limited extent, right? You can only draw it a certain amount of time before it runs out, and then no more blood, right? And then now you've got bigger problems than what you would have had you done it a different way. As a man, you're not getting attention for your emotions. Oh, terrible. Why would you want to? These things mean nothing. No, no, no. Our currency as the practitioners of the deceptive arts is tears. Yes, tears, right? We induce emotional suffering through deception, and we know we are effective when the tears start to flow. That is the extent. That is the extent where you must go. The blow must be severe enough to induce tears, right? You want to affect the enemy, right? In a way, and this is why we go for the tears. This is why we go for the tears. You want to affect the enemy in a way that is gut wrenching, devastating, heartbreaking. You know what I mean? That they gotta sit down. Some people, they might even feel faint. They might even feel faint and collapse from the emotional devastation that your deception has induced. This is all 100% legal, by the way. This is all 100% legal. You don't believe me? Go and ask a lawyer. Telling a lie to your wife, to your husband, to your children is not a crime. Lying to a judge, to the police perhaps, that is a crime. And in that case, you have the right to remain silent, and I suggest you practice that right. I suggest you practice that right until you have legal representation. So, so all our interactions, right, from our side must pass legal scrutiny, right? They must pass the legal test, right? However, you want all the knee benders and the counterparts to be riddled with prosecutable criminality and criminal offenses, right? So no violence for you and me, but let them be as violent, as belligerent, and as wild as they can be. Right? So let them have the violence, but not for us. Us, we will induce the tears. Right? You and since you can't beat them or hurt them or be aggressive, then you must annoy them. You gotta get under their skin. You gotta cook their blood, man. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, right? Find something that really affects them and grinds them. Like find a song that they hate and play that song over and over. You know what I mean? Find something that gives them a pain in the butt and then rub it in their faces. That's what I'm talking about. Emotional pain. Man, you gotta be creative also. You can't just be, you know, just insulting them for insulting them. You gotta be creative, you know? Well, I'm talking about socially and philosophically too, right? Of course. Um, Please don't practice this tactic at work. You're gonna get fired, right? You go around work hurting people's feelings, insulting people, right? You don't want that. The people at your work, your colleagues, the people you manage, your superiors, your seniors, your leaders, you want to treat them with the utmost civility, humanity, and with some humility, right? You want to give them respect in as far and as much as you can while you are still being competitive and while you are still being professional, right? That's what being professional actually means, right? But that's where it stops. That's where it stops. It only stops at the people at work. Socially and out in these streets, it's very competitive. It's very wild. And if you are not prepared with your own weapons and your own tools for combat, you're going to find yourself stuck in a situation with no ammunition and no skills for survival, right? And we cannot have that, right? You need to be in as far as emotional pain goes. You need to be you need to be brutal in your honesty as you are poised in your humility at work. Socially, you can be cruel, you can be judgmental, you can be unforgiving and ruthless, right? You can just lie and be deceptive, right? Be deviant, be devious, be insidious, right? Be unfathomable. You should always talk about things like someone's age if you want to insult them, right? You want to hit them where they cannot defend and where they are low, right? Where they are low, where they cannot, where they so you want to hit them in. It has to be like a cheap shot, like it's an obvious blow and it's a painful blow and it's a winning blow and you're hitting it like as hard as you can from a complete position of advantage where it's like shame, man. You know, emotional pain has to be like how they say taking candy from a literal baby, right? And I don't mean baby like a toddler, like I mean like an infant, right? Like an infant who doesn't even know what the candy is, and you just rip it out of their arm, and it's like that kind of shock, like oh my god, how could you do that? And then you eat it, you know what I mean? And you just eat it right in front of the baby's face. The baby doesn't even know it's candy, so don't worry about it. I'm just speaking in terms of emotional effect, right? Don't go taking things from kids. I think that's also illegal. That's called child abuse, you know. So don't do that. So don't do that. But you gotta talk about somebody's age. So on the one hand, they're either too old for something. You're too old to go to the club. You're too old to dress like that. You're too old for this activity. You're too old to be dating with no marriage. You're too old to be dating divorced. You know what I mean? To be out here, all these things, by the way, to be unmarried and have no kids and that kind of thing. These are good things for vasectomites, but these are devastating failures for knee benders and counterparts. To say these things, to say to a knee bender, you're too old to be out in the club. You're too old to be dressing like that. It crushes the knee benders because they really think they look cool, with their head cocked sideways, right? They really think they look cool. So you can go ahead and attack their age, or you could tell them that they're too young, you know. So they're these guys, like athletes. They pride themselves on being, high up in society, you know, but effectively they're still just young men. That's the truth, and you can rip apart a young man for his youth. You could tell him he doesn't know nothing. He hasn't lived life. He hasn't experienced anything. You know what I mean? Everything he has was given to him by a man like you. You know, all you do is you play a game that's designed for children to bond on the playground, right? And you do it for entertainment. You're nothing more than a glorified male stripper. That's why they make you wear the skimpiest outfits they can, right? That is akin to lingerie. Like a sports outfit is akin to lingerie on women. I mean, you can rip these kids apart, right? Millions and millions of dollars, and you can rip them apart just by the fact that they're young and inexperienced and haven't done anything other than what they've been told to do. And if nobody told them exactly what to do, they wouldn't be where they are. And it's not, and I know you'll say things like, oh, but I am where they are. But for a young man who's trying to make a name for himself and prove that he can stand on his own 2 feet, to tell him that he's still under the crutches of his parents is just the deepest insult. And then to tell him that, you know what, you have so much to learn about life, which he still does. Some of these guys, they can't even drive legally in their home countries. Professional athletes, things like that. Can't leave the country without your parents' permission, right? You're $1 million athlete, you need your parents' permission to go to the bathroom. Like those kinds of things, those kinds of little ironies, they exist with those people. Like you're making $1 million, but you still need permission to go to the bathroom. Like those kinds of things, like they can hurt a young man. So that's where you want to hit them, right? You also want to hit their weight. Oh, people's weight and bodies. People are so sensitive about their bodies, right? So you can talk about the weight, which is an obvious one, but you got to talk about their shape, right? So either on the one hand, they're skinny with no features and no curves, right? Which the counterpart hates. They hate not being described as featureless. Like that means like you don't stand out in any way. You don't fit in, you don't stand out. It's like not existing, right? Or you could tell a bender that he doesn't have muscles. It's just skinny fat. You know, you've seen these guys, like he's skinny, but he doesn't have no muscle, and you can tell he has no strength, right? So you can hit them there. Or they could just, be overweight. Overweight by itself is a powerful, emotionally painful thing, right? Let me not forget, you can always insult people's money, right? Oh, people are so sensitive about their money. Poor people are sensitive about their money, and rich people are sensitive about their money, right? So rich people don't really want you to know how much debt they have, right? And how much their wife burns through money. And you can always tell that there's debt when they keep remodeling the house. Like house remodels are always over budget and late. They never come in under budget and early, right? So they take longer, they cost more money. Your counterpart is going to be delaying the process, right? Changing materials, changing their minds, being bossy, being distracted with absolutely nothing when there was no problem at all, right? So, people have financial problems, right? You can also say things like, you can also say to someone that, especially after they've done a remodel of their house, you could say, you spent all that money on this, oh, that's going to hurt them. That's going to hurt them, it looks bad. Or you can say to somebody who's been working for years and years, like if you're new to a company and there's somebody who's working there, 15 years, and then you can say to them something like, you've done all this time and you've achieved nothing. You've put in all this work and you've achieved nothing. Parents hate that. Parents hate that. And you can say to a parent, all that effort in raising your kids, and your kids are still losers. Somebody buys a house. Buys a house. You can say, oh, you spend all that money on this. You can insult somebody's lack of experience, right? So you can tell them that they don't have no experience on the job. They don't know what they're doing, right? You know, like there's a lot. There's a lot. You can attack somebody's education, right? So you can say, on the one hand, you can hit them for not having a degree. Like you can always hit somebody for not having a degree, or somebody for dropping out. Oh, that's a bad one. Like if somebody was smart and they dropped out of for financial reasons, and they wanted to go back but they didn't because they got somebody pregnant, right? That's always in the back of their mind. It's always in the back of their mind. Or if like all their friends have a degree and they don't, right? So they went to university together and their friends all graduated and he dropped out and he's the only one with no degree. Oh, that hurts. Or you could always just discredit them as uneducated, right? Which is not the same thing. It doesn't mean that you're uneducated and unskilled. It just means that you couldn't finish this particular program. But you could absolutely learn those skills by yourself. Of course, you don't get a degree for doing it by yourself, right? You can say somebody has a useless degree. Oh, people hate that. People hate when you describe their degrees as useless, because you work hard to get that thing, man. And when you were getting it, you were young and you were hopeful and you thought you were going to get an economics degree and then you were going to run a multinational corporation with a zero experience, right? And then you get there and you deal with people that have 45 years of experience and hundreds of millions of dollars. And you have nothing and no experience, you know? And your degree means absolutely nothing to them. But it's worth it, you know? So you can absolutely tell people they have a useless degree. Whatever their degree is, communications, economics, social studies. You can insult almost every degree other than like medicine and law. You really can't do anything about law, but you could insult the lawyer for being broke. You got this fancy degree, but you don't know how to make money. You know, yeah, but like you gotta do it like at the right time. So you insult people about their degree after you get your degree, right? You don't want to be insulting degrees and not have a degree. That's kind of like, oh, what you're gonna, who are you? Get the degree first and then tell us that it's useless. Don't come here and tell me that the degree is useless. You don't have one, right? Get one first and then decide, I have this thing, I don't actually use it, right? So after you get your degree, then go ahead and insult somebody else's degree. After you get a house, then go and insult people who don't have houses. So after you buy a house and you pay it off, or you buy a house and or car, then you can go ahead and insult pedestrians, right? You don't want to be like, because then it's just hypocrisy and it's silly, right? And it's silly. You don't want to be broke yourself and accuse other people of being broke. That's just what counterparts do. You don't want to not have a car yourself and then insult people with cheap cars, right? Like, and there's no such thing as a cheap car, by the way, right? There's no such thing as a cheap car. So, but like with somebody has a less expensive car and you don't have one, just stop. Just stop. If somebody has a job and you don't have no job, you can't criticize their job. Or if somebody owns an apartment and you don't own anything, you can't criticize their apartment and say, "Oh, you got a small apartment." That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. That's really not what we're doing. You want to put yourself in an advantageous position where you are beyond the possibility of defeat, and then pick the fight. So you want to have your degree and then insult people without a degree, right? You want to have your house and then insult people without a house. Otherwise, they're just going to insult you as a lunatic, right? So you don't want to, do that. You want to be smart about it. And today's article is going to discuss several things that cause people emotional pain, and I think you're gonna like this list, right? And I suggest you use this in your own life for immediate and long lasting effects. Today's article is entitled Types of Emotional Wounds Everyone Suffers From and How to Heal from Them. The majority of this excerpt comes from Cheryl Kell. It was published on the 23rd of April, and it comes from Thrive Magazine, which is right at the bottom, right? But there is one part of it, number 6, right at the end, which comes from a different article from cornercanyonhc.com. There is the link to both. Both these articles are very similar, but the one had another one, something else that this one didn't. There were mild differences overall, but I decided to go with the one by Cheryl Kell. I thought it was really along the lines of what we are trying to achieve. And Carol writes, emotional wounds, often invisible yet profoundly impactful, shape our lives in a myriad of ways. This is what you want. You want a profound impact, right? When you hurt people emotionally, right? Emotionally. They are scars left behind from painful experiences that mold our responses, behaviors, and interactions with the world around us. Now listen to that. Isn't that just powerful, right? When you have affected someone in this way, right? You mold their responses, their behaviors, instead, in other words, the way they act and their interactions, how they treat others. In fact, you shape the world around them. Understanding these wounds is not just about uncovering hurt, but about embracing a journey towards healing and transformation. Emotional trauma can stem from a variety of events: betrayal by a trusted friend, rejection from a loved one, or even a public humiliation. Just to go back a moment, this is exactly what I was talking about. How they talk about healing and transformation. This is all they focus on, right? How to heal, how to come right. This is very shallow, right? We need skills that we can employ, right? So what we're talking about, you're going to be betraying people that think are your friends, rejecting people that think you love them, or just humiliating somebody in public. This is all socially, of course. You do this at work, they're going to fire you. You're going to get fired, and you would deserve to get fired. But socially, perfectly fine, perfectly legal. Each of these moments can inflict deep emotional wounds that, if left unaddressed, may fester and hinder our ability to lead fulfilling lives. That's what you want to do to your enemies. You want to finish them in a way that they cannot proceed beyond the pain that you inflicted. It must be life defining pain. Yet the power to heal these wounds lies within us. No, it doesn't. You can always reopen the wound, bolstered by support from others and professional guidance. I'm just going to ignore all that. In this article, I explore various types of emotional wounds that we all may encounter and share paths towards healing. No, we're not doing that. We want the first part, but not the healing, right? By acknowledging and addressing our emotional injuries, we can embark on a path of profound emotional health and well being, ultimately unlocking a life marked by resilience and hope. You know, I need to take another approach with this concept of healing. The fact that they make such a big deal about healing from emotional wounds should be an indication to us of how powerful they are. Yes, physical wounds are always there, but the fact that there is an entire psychological industry and a study to assess the damage that emotions do in people's lives should be an indication of their power and why you should want this power. First, you freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. That is gonna be damaging. You freeze your sperm, get that vasectomy. That's gonna be damaging, right? And then you can go ahead and unveil all of your cruel intentions, right? And shine, let those intentions shine through, right? We're talking about socially, right? Socially, let your cruelty shine through, man. Let people see what it's really about, you know. Forget the healing, man. Forget the healing, right? No hope, no hope. I invite you to turn inward. I do too. Recognize the wounds we carry and to engage in the transformative process of healing, allowing us to thrive amidst life's challenges. When we are done with this list, I hope that you can go out there and inflict the type of emotional pain. That's what we're talking about, emotional pain that makes people go to therapy, right? I'm not talking in terms of like only just that you've been hurt. Yes, revenge is very healthy. I should do a whole thing about revenge and the health benefits of revenge. I'm talking I'm talking about these knee benders, these counterparts that are really going to be on the attack for whatever the reason, right? And how you can affect them, how you can be efficacious in your attack as a deceptive arts. I'm saying that this emotional pain is a weapon, right? It is a weapon that must be used to draw tears, many, many tears. You want tears. You want gut wrenching tears. The type of tears where they start to have hiccups, man, and they have to pause the wailing to catch their breath, but they can't breathe because they got hiccups. And then as they're crying, the snot comes out of their nose. So it's tears and snot. That's what you want. You want that combination of tears and snot. You know, when the veins pop out the side of their heads and you can see that what do they call that main vein around the neck? When that vein pops out of their neck and their neck and shoulder muscles tense, right? And they're holding on to something, but they're not really holding, they're grabbing, right? They're grabbing, and when they let go, you can see the internal bleeding in their hands. Their hands are bright red, right? Like almost blue from internal bleeding that they've gripped so hard. That's the kind of emotional pain that I want. You know what I mean? This is what I want for you. That type of level of success, heartfelt, man. You know, so that you know you've achieved your goal. When you see tears, you know you're successful, right? That's the standard. That's the standard, right? So let's see what these are. Number one, types of emotional wounds. Rejection. Oh, rejection is a good one. Rejection is a wonderful one, especially for these counterparts. Now, you must understand attention is what they want more than anything. To be known, to be seen, to be understood, to be cared for, to make a move, and people respond to that move. They love attention. You take that away from them, I mean, you just like, especially they love it from strangers. Especially they love it from strangers. That's why when you ever seen like a counterpart talk to somebody they don't know, right? What they love is somebody who serendipity. That's what they call it, right? When somebody you don't know sees you and is immediately in awe of you, right? You inspire awe in them to the point where they have to take the risk of whatever risk that you take when you go and approach, the risk of rejection. They rather you reject them than not approach you at all. That's the kind of attention that the counterpart wants. When you ignore them, or it breaks them, man. Oh, it breaks them, especially like from an ex-boyfriend. So if they've done like a lot of stuff to you, and you still need to go back and let them have it out of closure, right? They hate that. They sorry, I beg your pardon. They want that. They want the arguments on the phone. They want the text messages. They want their phone ringing off their hook. They want their lives to be busy with male attention because no woman is gonna be ringing their phone off the hook. I'm telling you, like, although women will talk to each other for a long time, she's like their girls aren't texting them twice in a row, right? You're like, have you ever texted a man twice in a row? You send a guy a message, and the only time you send something twice is if you send him a list and the list is incomplete, and you're just sending to complete the list. Oh, I forgot the milk and the eggs, right? That's how men double text each other. More instructions, more, but when you double text a woman, it's an indication that you want her immediate attention and she has yours. Ignore her. I mean, ignore her as I do, or they hate that. They hate that. They hate bachelors. They hate vasectomites. They hate men who don't desire them. There's nothing worse for a woman than to be undesirable by men. Because again, that male attention that they want can only be gotten from a man. You have to understand women are not giving other women opportunities for anything. Not for a trip, not for a date. Like when girls go out, it's not like me treating you. You've never heard a girl say, "Hey girl, let me take you out." No, it's let's go out, and then they split the bill, right? But you'll pay for everything, right? You'll give her that type of attention. So rejection, a very powerful tool against the emotions of a counterpart. It says your rejection can slice through the fabric of one's self esteem. Oh, I love that. Leaving lasting marks. Yes, she hates to feel insignificant. You know, even if she feels that, she doesn't want that to be confirmed. She wants you to boost her ego, to reassure her. When you confirm her insignificance, as I often do, or they hate you. And I don't mean like in a way like they hate you, but it kind of turns them on. No, they'll burn your car. They'll burn your car, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's a passionate hate because it cuts through the fabric of their self-esteem, and it leaves a lasting mark, right? That's why when you break up with somebody, just don't call her again. Delete the information, move on with your life, right? That hurts more than anything. When an ex-boyfriend moves on, it hurts more than it has a deeper impact on her than the one who stays and fights and argues, right? The one who's like, nah, that's it, I'm done. The one who's really, really, really genuinely done. That's the one that hurts them the most. It continues here. It manifests in various areas of life, from personal relationships and family dynamics to professional environments and social interactions. Yes, it affects them in every way. It affects every part of their lives once they've been rejected, right? So they don't want to be rejected for work, they don't want to be rejected socially, they don't want to be rejected professionally, they don't want to be rejected in terms of relationships. They just don't want to be told that they're not good enough. In which case, I think you should tell them that. By all means, tell these people that they're not good enough, not pretty enough, not tall enough, not hot enough, not young enough, not educated enough. You have too much debt. You have too many children. You know what I mean? That's not your real hair, or that's not your real hair color, right? Whatever it is, whatever you is, just find something there to disqualify them and reject them. Right? I mean, they do it to you. They do it to you all the time. You know, they will what they will do, and I mean, you don't even have to do what they do. So what they'll do is they might compare you to another person who's in another situation and say this person is your superior, right? But then you need to then say, well, sure, that might be true, but I'm your superior. So how low are you? Like, how much lower down are you that you need my approval? And you're telling me that you're struggling to get another guy's approval too, right? So I mean, you really have to indicate that they're insufficient and then dismiss them, right? It's not one thing to just tell them that they're not good enough. You tell them that they're not good enough, you dismiss them, and then you never contact them again. But if you contact them again, you're now contradicting yourself. So I would suggest getting it, whatever it is that you want, make it quick, and you know, don't dismiss them right away. But like later on, just be like, there was a funny smell and I don't think, we're compatible, and then move on, or that kind of thing, Um, but find something real, use it, be creative. Don't let my ideas limit your creativity. Expand your mind, try different things, but just keep poking, you know what I mean? Either one of them or all of them will stick. The pain of being turned away or deemed not good enough can evoke intense feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You want intense feelings of inadequacy, and then induce that loneliness. So even if they're surrounded by people, right? Just by telling them that they're inadequate, right? And not good enough, that's enough. That's enough, I think. I think that would be a job well done. Over time, if these feelings are not addressed, they can lead to avoidance of risk taking or forming deep relationships out of fear of experiencing further rejection. This is what happens to people who start dating with intention. It's something that we don't really talk about in online conversations, right? This aspect. It's really not just that they've hit a certain age, right? You've heard them, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s, I'm looking for a serious partner, right? I'm looking to settle down, I'm dating with intention, blah, blah, blah. Nonsense, right? What you are not being told is the tremendous number of rejections that these people are getting at a particular age. Because now you're competing, when you're 30, you're competing with everyone who is 29 and under. When you're 28, you're competing with everyone that's like 27 and under. So what's happening is that you are now being rejected more often, and you're not receiving that type of male attention, at least not with the same type of intensity, and definitely not from the same type of guys that you used to. So, that type of rejection changes their dating strategy completely. Like once or twice, sure, but it gets to a point where they even feel invisible, right? And it's one thing to be rejected by like a top 1%, top 0.1% individual. But when you start to get rejected by men like the ancient one, guys like me with a limp and a hunchback and a walking stick and crooked teeth with a gap, squinted eyes and with thick glasses, a bald head but a patch of hair, when it's not going for you, when you lost the genetic lottery like I did, but still made it out somehow. When guys like that start to reject you too, oh, it's really bad. It's really, really, really bad for the counterpart. Like it's one thing to be rejected by a person you consider, top of the top, the creme de la creme. But when you are being rejected by a nobody who is out of shape and deformed like I am, oh, that hurts even more. That's why the counterpart loves to reject, by the way. They'll reject somebody who they're really attracted to. You'll come and approach them in just a genuine way, right? And you'll be exactly what they want. And they'll reject it because it makes them feel powerful to say, well, I have these kinds of people approaching me and I'm rejecting them and I'm rejecting them and I'm rejecting them, right? It makes them feel powerful, but also what they want to do is induce a sense of emotional pain onto you because that's what it does to them, right? When you tell them no, it hurts them deeply, right? So when they tell you no, they want you to receive the same pain. They hate that. Like this is why husbands end up overspending on their wives because every time she asks for something, you tell her no. It's a personal insult. It's a rejection. You're telling her she's not good enough to receive these mediocre things, and she fights. So husbands just keep saying yes and yes and yes and yes because then it tells her that she's good enough for these things, even though she's not, right? And I suggest you just ignore these people, reject them, ignore them, find the reason to cut them off, and then cut them off. Don't call them again. Get what you want, and then cut them off, and then move on, right? Because if you want to instill a lasting emotional wound, oh, rejection will do it. This is why counterparts still remember their boyfriends who left and never came back. It's not the ones who keep coming for closure and arguing and fighting with them that they remember. No, it's the one that rejected them genuinely and didn't want nothing more to do with that loser. Number two is a very good one for relationships. Oh, if you want to hurt someone, or just betray them. Make them gain your trust and then betray them on the thing that you promised to do. Yes, I'll be there to run with you in the morning. I'll come running with you every single morning. What, you running at 5 o'clock? I'll be there at 4:30. I'll be ready. 6 o'clock, nowhere to be found. 10 o'clock, nowhere to be found. 10:30, phone dead. Right? People hate being betrayed. I hate being betrayed. To me, revenge. Revenge is the solution for betrayal, right? But when it comes to relationships, oh, I'll never cheat on you. Oh, we'll be together forever. Yeah, go ahead and betray those people. Don't keep any promise that you make to them, and you will cut them up from the inside, right? But you don't want to do it. You don't want your betrayal to be shallow, right? I think that if you, like, I'll give you a situation. I'm this type and this level of sinister, right? I was with a counterpart that I knew I should have broken up with. I knew I should have broken up with her. But then I got the inclination that this person was cheating on me. And and instead of letting them go, I made a deeper commitment to them. I said, you know what, we need to make our relationship more serious. Our relationship got so serious. I mean, it was serious. We met parents, pregnant nieces. I was there when that nephew was being sentenced. I took out the tissue. You know what I mean? When the dad forgot his jacket to go into the courtroom, it was my jacket he put on. Do you know what I mean? It was my jacket he put on because he was representing the family. That kind of situation. It got deep, right? And it was years. It was years this went on. This went on for years, knowing that she had betrayed me, knowing that she had stabbed me in the back, knowing that it would get so serious that I would infiltrate every single aspect of her existence. Everybody that knew her knew that she was in a relationship with me. Dumped her, never spoke to her again. And it was a situation of I had encapsulated all of her life and surrounded her. There was a moment where she even said, "You are everywhere all the time." She couldn't get rid of me. Everybody that met her met me at the same exact time. You know what I mean? I took a left step, she took a right step. One of the things that made me certain that she was being unfaithful was when I started to walk and she was walking at a different pace. I was like, oh, there's a different rhythm now. This is not the rhythm that I walk in. So I knew for sure, based on my assessment of things. Like, you can walk and talk different, and I'll know. And I kept this facade going on for years. And when it ended, I never spoke to her again. Right? Now, this is a situation where everybody she knows me. And everybody that I know doesn't know her. Maybe two or three key people will know her to just make the facade real. But most people that I know, the people that I work with, have no idea she exists. But everyone that she works with knows that I exist. And everywhere she goes, everyone keeps asking her the same question. Where is the ancient one? Where is the ancient one? Disappeared. The master of the deceptive arts. This is the consequence. And by the way, I'd had a vasectomy. So I had there was no reason for me, no true benefit for me other than to incur her tears, to draw them out. I got a message from that counterpart saying that everywhere she goes, everybody keeps asking her, where am I? And then I responded, I said, everywhere I go, not a single person even knows you exist. Know what I'm saying? This is the level. This is the level you have to be at. You have to be all in. It's really not a question of, how long does it take to execute a truly deceptive scheme. It's the question you should ask yourself is, do you have the fortitude and the depth of faith to go as far, as deep down into the darkness of deception as is necessary, for as long as is necessary? I believe you do. I believe you do. I believe in you. And with these tools, you will be able to be effective. Whether it's a friend who shares secrets or a partner who breaks a bond of loyalty, the effects can be devastating. We're talking about betrayal. Betrayal forces us to question our judgment and can impair our ability to trust others in the future. Healing from betrayal involves rebuilding one's sense of trust, not just in others, but also in oneself. You've heard counterparts say that you can't trust a knee bender, and I've said that too, right? Once the trust is broken, it cannot be rebuilt. Once a person has been betrayed, they are never the same. It's very difficult for you to then have faith in humanity once again. Number three, abandonment, which is what I was describing when I did to the counterpart. Enclosed her, surrounded her, engrossed myself into her existence, and then abandoned her. Very powerful tactic. It takes time, but it's worth every second. Abandonment, whether physical or emotional, triggers one of our deepest fears, the fear of being alone. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Knowing that somebody could be there with you all the time and swear allegiance and be patient and kind and caring, not knowing that all the while they're just waiting for the moment to just strike you like a thunderbolt, just quiet and patient, just quiet and patient, just tolerating all your nonsense, and then boom. Now your deepest fear has been triggered. You are truly alone. 5 years later, you're not getting that youth back. And me, I'm richer than ever. As a man, the older I get, the richer I get. As a woman, I don't know what happens to you when you get older. This would be inflicted earlier in life if a parent is absent or emotionally unavailable, and it can reappear when a significant person leaves without explanation. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You leave without explanation and you never come back. You see, this coming back business, we got to talk about this. When you come back to somebody, it's an indication of forgiveness. It says everything is okay. When you go and never come back, it's a permanent failure. It's a permanent failure. That's why these counterparts are still arguing with their exes, because it means that the situation is ongoing. But you leave them and you let them go, it's a permanent failure for them, right? Because relationships are everything for them. Remember, again, they're not getting this type of attention from anyone else. You're not getting somebody, you're not getting one of your girlfriends to take you on a trip somewhere. No way, no way, not for your birthday. Give me a break. The resultant feelings of instability, that's the one, right? And insecurity can influence future relationships, often causing anxiety about being left again. So, one of the things that happens is in marriage, especially, you offer a counterpart stability, right? And divorce is an indication of instability. It's not an adventure, it's an indication of instability. What they don't tell you, right? This is one thing that people really don't say about divorce, is that the person who files the divorce always asks the person they divorced to take them back. This is something that they never ever tell you, because it's always the counterpart. The counterpart who files for divorce. Later, 2 years later, when it's all over and done, 2 years after it's been finalized, when you start to rebuild, their life collapses in a serious way. They come back. They really come back. Every person I've listened to talk about divorce and then they get a vasectomy afterwards, they always say the counterpart came back. At some point, they texted them, they called them, they wanted to know if you wanted to try again. And that's something like these are two different aspects that we never talked about, right, on our channels. One is the rejection that older women get. I mean, older women get rejected. Not like younger women. Like younger women are getting pursued, but older women are getting shut down and insulted. They are told to get out. That kind of thing. Like get out of my house, get out of my car. That kind of thing. And then never called again. It's that serious. But the other here is this issue of abandonment, right? This issue of how abandonment causes instability, right? And this is what I did with the counterpart. I provided stability, right? So, I beg your pardon, not just the stability, but how the counterpart comes back to that partner that offered them stability, right? They return wanting that because it is bad out there, man. You leave like a house in a gated community, you're not getting another house in a gated community. If you own a house in a gated community, you're not getting two of those. It takes decades to pay for that. I have never seen a person leave a gated community and then return. Like maybe it happens, but when they do return, they have to pay a higher price for it. So generally, they just never return. People just keep moving forward. But it's something that needs to be discussed how these people always come back. How on the one hand, they're getting rejected badly, and on the other hand, they always come back to the person that they divorced. And it's like, you cannot be serious. You had an affair, you cheated, you ruined our family, you destroyed my trust, and then you stole my money, and then you blew it. You ran right through that money. You ran right through that money. And now that you have no money, no partners, no prospects, no way forward, and a ton of debt, you want to come back? No way. Now you're older too. Like it was one thing we dated, you were 38, 39. Now you're 42, 43, 45. No way. No, 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 no. Those years away, they made a difference. They made a difference, right? So that's something worth discussing. The resultant feeling, I think I read that before. Healing from abandonment, I'm going to just jump ahead, involves developing a secure sense of self and understanding that one's worth is not tied to the presence or approvals of others. It is. For a counterpart, it absolutely is. Again, I've described the value of male attention and how she's not getting that anywhere else. You don't hear them complaining that, oh, we can't speak to women. Oh, we can't share anything in common with women. It's always, why don't men approach me? Why don't men give me that attention? Ask me to go out, pay for something, buy me something that I don't have to spend my money, something that I want that I don't have to spend my money because you like me, right? If you like me, you will do these things for me. You've heard them say things like that, right? That's that craving, that male attention, man. It's serious, man. It's serious. You can't get that. You can't get that. It's the difference between your mother taking you to McDonald's with her last money and your dad taking you to Disneyland with less than 1% of his income. That last money might mean a lot to your mother, but man, Disneyland is awesome, right? So think about that. Humiliation. This is a bad one. Disrespect, humiliation. Man, if you want to hurt people, you just got to humiliate them. Talk about something that brings them shame. put them in a situation that gives them to shame, humiliate them, and then abandon them. This hurts a lot. Like men getting disrespected, that's humiliation. Being cuckolded, that's humiliation. Cheating on your wife with a younger, hotter version of her, like same that looks the same, but she's younger, right? Like you have a type, but she's younger. Oh, that hurts. That's humiliation, right? Humiliation, especially when it occurs in a public setting, can affect one's dignity and self respect. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. When people find out that you've been having an affair behind their back, that kind of thing, oh, it's very humiliating. It's terrible. It does affect your dignity and your self respect. This type of emotional wound stems from being ridiculed or demeaned, disrespected, um, either by individuals or by groups. The sting of humiliation can lead to long term fear of embarrassment. I'm not a big, I don't want to be embarrassed. I suppose it depends on the type of embarrassment. But you know, I told you I work with misfits, and misfits are prone to saying anything. I cannot tell you how many times I've been insulted to my face. A misfit will stand right into my face and say the F word to me. And then I have to just and you know how I respond, and I'll say to him, listen here, my young practitioner of the deceptive arts. I don't mind you using bad words. As your leader, my concern is that people are going to think that I'm encouraging you to use bad words. This is how I respond to being insulted by these misfits. Every day somebody's going to say something that's going to, when your job is to bring together a group of misfits and train them into productive adults. Even though they're still adults, like you get sometimes one that's well trained and ready to work, and really that's a blessing. Most of them, they don't even want to turn a computer on, and you gotta get them into it. And they'll insult you. They'll insult you for their laziness. You just have to learn to deal with it. Really, you just learn how to you just have to learn, especially when you're in a position of leadership. You just have to swallow those that foul language and those insults. These people, seriously, sometimes, right? And it could be the whole group. It could be the whole group sometimes. Now you gotta let them have their moment and then say, okay, let's carry on with the task at hand. The sting of humiliation can lead to long term fear of embarrassment, which might deter individuals from expressing themselves or engaging in social activities. Yes, when a counterpart, especially, has been humiliated in a particular way, they would do everything in their power to avoid being humiliated in that way again. So they'll avoid an activity that they enjoy just because something bad happened, right? So they may like singing and have a bad performance and never sing again, right? One thing for sure is that when you cheat on them with somebody that's hotter or somebody that's not hotter, it hurts either way, right? But one thing that hurts for sure is dating somebody that's younger. Oh, that's always going to hurt these counterparts. The prognosticator said something, as a man, you don't have to date anybody who is, how did he say it? He said you don't have to date anybody who's high status or high power, right? You can date anybody as long as they're hot, right? This is the wisdom of the prognosticator, right? You can date anyone as long as they're hot. They don't have to be a billionaire or a millionaire, right? So you can actually date somebody who's younger, who's hotter than your previous counterpart, and they could be a complete nobody with absolutely nothing just because they're hot, right? And you could humiliate a counterpart, especially an egotistical one. They all think they're so hot with their wigs, right? And their hair extension and their peroxide and they Botox in the lips. In the lips. Who does that? Counterparts, they'll do that, right? So you just get a younger one who doesn't need no Botox in the lips, right? And in the eyes and in the nose. You got Botox in your ears, right? Get a younger one and it'll definitely do it. For men, I think you just like make sure that he's disrespected. So, I don't know. Counterparts do this very well. They just have affairs, right? And that's humiliation enough. That's a lasting and enduring humiliation. Overcoming humiliation requires rebuilding self confidence and often confronting the pain memories associated with the event. I suggest revenge be the solution to your pain. Hurt the people who hurt you, not physically, right? Don't go breaking the law, but take something that they hold dear and destroy it. Take something like some type of family heirloom, something that they got from their dead mother, right? The last thing that their mother gave them before they died, a gift from their child who went somewhere and thought about their mommy, who's now an adult, right? A letter from a long lost relative, right? Something given by an ex boyfriend, right? An expensive bag or a nice pair of shoes, a sexy dress, whatever it is, find it, destroy it, right? Take something that they love and absolutely destroy it, right? And then you'll hurt them emotionally. You don't have to hurt them, right? That is damage to property, right? That is damage to property. So, you may very well get arrested for that. But if it's an accident, then it's an accident, right? That's the reason why we have insurance, is so that we, when accidents happen, we are prepared. The last slide is injustice number 5, being treated unfairly. When you are blatantly biased to someone, right? And people can see that, or they hate that. People hate blatant bias, right? And if you're with like a counterpart who's expecting you to be on their side, and you show a blatant bias to somebody else, they hate that. They'll ask you whose side are you on, right? And it'll be like a personal issue, something that they may even have a vendetta against you. So they'll definitely ask you whose side are you on if they feel like you should be on their side and you side with somebody else, right? Like they'll feel wrongly treated, as it says, feeling wrongly or treated unfairly, it says, whether in a personal, professional, or societal context, can lead to feelings of anger and helplessness. Yes, it does. This type of emotion, especially if you like, I love you, but she's still right. Oh. And if you agree with another woman, that's even worse. You say, yeah, I love you, but she makes a good point and I agree with the way she thinks and her logic appeals to me and I like everything about her answer. Oh, that's gonna upset people. Oh, that's gonna upset people, especially the counterpart. You wanna do that, right? You wanna do that kind of thing. You wanna just agree with someone. Now she's gonna wanna get you back. So if you got a vasectomy and you're not really like committed to them, this works. But if they can pay revenge on you, I don't know how helpful all these tactics are. This type of emotional wound arises when there is a discrepancy between what is perceived as fair and the reality faced. The struggle for justice or lack thereof can consume a person, sometimes leading to bitterness and a pervasive sense of cynicism. You see this all the time with people who desire reparations. They believe that they are due this thing paying them, and the fact that they haven't, they believe that they are due payment for this injustice that they perceive that they underwent. Right. So I have credit card debt because of indentured servitude. I I'm homeless because of indentured servitude. I dropped out of university because of indentured servitude. All kinds of madness. Oh, I'm not married with kids because of indentured servitude. Oh, I'm on child support because of indentured servitude. Like, this is ridiculous, right? Nobody made you have those kids. Nobody made you drop out of university. Nobody made you take up a bond you can't afford, right? You cannot blame that on a historically significant act, no matter how significant that act was, right? But yes, people do this, right? And they'll feel cynical about the system and other things, just because they feel like things are not going their way. You want to show some bias. You want to definitely show some bias, and in a way where later the people that you show bias to, you can then betray them, right, and leave them in a lurch. So you can use the bias to emotionally wound one person and then switch the bias and emotionally wound the people to whom you had shown bias to before, and you can keep switching from one bias to another, spreading the effects of your appeal. Healing from injustice involves channeling feelings of anger into constructive action. Good luck with that. And finding ways to contribute to making one's environment more equitable and just. The law makes things equitable and just. Everybody, is playing against the same rule or by the same rules, and those rules are the Constitution, right? And there are people who they've been taught everything except the Constitution. So people will be told, oh, we don't know how economics work, and nobody's teaching us how money works and how investments work. And in fact, that's not true. They've been teaching business and accounting in high schools since the beginning of high school. Math, science, business, accounting, geography, history, social sciences, that kind of thing. They've been teaching these subjects. Once computers became a thing, they started teaching computers at school. Everyone has access to a computer now, right? So, they've been teaching business for a very, very, very long time. And people know all the fundamentals of business. What you don't know is the law. And what they do is they never come after your business. You've never heard one single criminal say they came after my business. You've never heard one single counterpart saying they came after my business. No, they came after you because you broke the law. The people to whom they come after their businesses, man, they gotta find all kinds of documents and go through lawyers and law firms and then accountants and forensic accountants. It takes years. It takes years to prove fraud or white collar crimes. But these other crimes, they catch you very quickly. And you hear people saying, oh, they don't teach us about business. Yes, they do. It's the law they don't teach you about, and that's where they catch you, right? That's why things seem unfair. Because while you know how to make money, how many people have run a illicit drug business, pay for play business, music business, all kinds of businesses on the streets, successful businesses. Some of them have made millions of dollars. These businesses, these illegal enterprises, and then all shut down because they broke the law. It's not your business acumen that's getting you tied down. It's the fact that you're a criminal. Understanding these types of emotional wounds is the first step in acknowledging the impact they have on our lives. Each type of wound affects individuals differently, and recognizing them is crucial in beginning the healing process. Just I say, forget the healing process. This is why you want to stand on the side of the law. And then you want to, not induce, but you don't want to stand in the way of other people breaking the law. You want to have that evidence. So even if you're standing there and participating with them and engaging with them, don't break the law, right? And then what happens is, should something happen, what they'll see is that you'll break away from the group and carry on with your life. And then they will all get arrested and incarcerated and punished. And they will think that that's unfair, but he was with us. Yes, I was there, but I'm not one of you. I'm one among you, right? I'm not one of you, I'm one among you. I'm there because I'm there, but I'm not participating in your criminality. And when they take you in and you think I'm one of you and you see me walk away scot free, as the Ancient One always does, as I always do, you're going to think it's unfair. But no, it's not. But no, it's not. You just don't play by the law, right? And that's a mistake. That's a huge financial mistake, right? Not playing by the law. Playing by the rules, that's one thing. Ignoring the law, where they can put you in jail, I don't know about that. Like being fired, that's one thing. But being put in jail, man, you got to take a serious thought about that. The last thing that hurts people is failure. Now, everybody as a child believed that they were going to be successful at something. Everybody believed that they were going to be successful at something, and whatever that thing is or was going to make them money. There are very few people who ended up where they were thought they were going to end up. Very few people. Now, it's one thing to set a goal, achieve your goal, and then pivot, which is something that I've done myself. I set a goal, I achieved that goal. I set a financial goal, I achieved that goal. And then I still found out that I had a tremendous lot of life in me. So now I am making for a better life, right? I'm making for a meaningful life. And one of those things that's starting to have meaning in my life is this channel, is this programming, is the vasectomy life, right? The discussing the deceptive arts. This means something to me. I enjoy it. It's fun, right? But also I get to be competitive and prove my skill and demonstrate my efficacy in a particular field. Not only that, I have a message that is unique, that is different, that is unlike any other. Freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Just having that message alone, I feel like I stand out and I stand on my own. I'm not following nobody and I'm not repeating anybody's scripts. I don't even talk about the same characters. You never heard nobody say bending the knee. You never heard nobody talk about these knee benders or these counterparts, right? To me, standing on my own, doing my own thing, saying my own words in my own tone, at my own time, in my own pace, running my own thing, is an indication of my own determination for success and the potential for success. And don't let me write a book on vasectomies. Don't let me publish a book talking about me and my vasectomy, right? Let all men live with a vasectomy. You know how that's gonna go, right? That's gonna blow up. Somebody's gonna try and steal that idea, but you need to get a vasectomy first, then you can write a book about it, right? But this is an indication of potential success and potential growth. And if I rub my miniature little success in the faces of other people, it will only demonstrate their failures. The fact that you're all saying the same thing, talking about the same characters, making the same video. I actually saw it. I thought the prognosticator was being paranoid. Shout out to the prognosticator if you do listen to me one day. I don't know if you're going to be sitting through hours worth of this information just to hear your name for 10 seconds, but if you do, appreciate the content. But I heard the prognosticator say this, the lack of originality online. He put out a video, which I thought was magnificently done as usual. An hour later, there were 1,000 videos on the same topic, and they discussed that topic for days. I'm not going to say what topic it was. It was the side chick topic. I can say that. It was the side chick. You know who I'm talking about. I went online, everyone was talking about the side chick. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what he said would happen. You people don't have nothing to talk about? Just talk about a vasectomy. Talk about a vasectomy. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. How hard is that? Come up with your own talking points. This is a failure from online content creators, a failure of imagination, a failure of creativity, and a failure of leadership. You know, and this is why everybody watches the prognosticator. This is why, because we're getting a completely different perspective to what everybody else is doing, and we're getting it first, right? I myself, I'm never gonna do nothing that guy talks about. Not a single thing. I'm not gonna repeat not one word, not one topic, not one video, not one single article. You know why? Because I'm a vasectomite. I stand on my own. Always have, always will. And when you get your vasectomy, you can stake your own claim, stand your own 2 feet, and I assure you, no one will topple you. Success. And then when you get that success, you can use that success to rub it in other people's faces and expose their failures. Wouldn't that be nice? Because I know the prognosticator does that. Oh, he's called them out and exposed their failures as well. He should. The nerve to not speak your own words. To not speak your. I could never. I would never allow someone to speak on my behalf, or not to have a situation where somebody's speaking on my behalf or I'm speaking and I'm not saying my own words on my own platform. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. On my own platform? No way. It's one thing if I'm somebody else, with somebody else, they ask me a question and I respond and I give my opinion on it. But on my own platform, to speak the words of another, I would never. I would never. Let's continue. Well, I mean, to be fair, I do read the words of other people all the time, authors, but it's not the same thing. It's different. When I do it, it's meaningful. When you do it, it's shameful. And you know what I'm talking about. There's a difference. Don't act like you don't know the difference. Life can't always be a series of successes. And everyone is bound to fail at something now and then, yes. So everybody has a failure of some kind. You just need to find it and just poke them. Same spot, same spot. Let them have it. However, when you don't reach a goal, your self esteem will often suffer, and the hurt that you feel can be akin to that when you've been rejected. Oh, this is a deep hurt. Failure. Oh, I can't stand failure. I cannot stand planning something, working hard, sacrificing, paying money, and then still failing. Oh, I can't handle it. And then to have somebody rub it in my face. Oh, Ancient One, you make videos every day and nobody's listening to you. The whole world has rejected your vasectomy philosophy. After all that time, oh, I'd be gutted. I'd be gutted. The fact is that I'm planning on being here for years, right? So this isn't like a 1 week program or a 1 week experiment. I will decide if this endeavor has been worth it in like 10 years, right? And then we'll say, okay, after 10 years, I've wasted my time, I'm gone, right? But after 2 weeks, I think I can still afford some time for trial and error. Oh, but if somebody had to rub it in my face to say, oh, you got all these videos and no views, and I do have views, by the way, but if somebody had to say that, it would hurt, man. It would hurt. It would hurt. Don't talk about my views, man. Those views mean everything to me. You know what I'm talking about, right? Let's continue with confidence. Gaining the support of those closest to you and discussing how you feel about what you failed to achieve can help you put things into perspective. A friend or family member will be able to help you see the wood for the trees and remember that all things that you've achieved rather than focusing on one failure. Or they could rub that failure in your face. right? Which would hurt even more because this is what we're talking about: emotional wounds, right? Pain. We're talking about pain. So imagine like somebody who thinks you love them comes and tells you about their pain, and then you laugh at them and you rub it in their face, and then you bring it back up later again, like 2 months later, and you're like, oh, remember how you suffered that day? Oh, that was glorious. Oh, that's gonna hurt. That's absolutely going to hurt their feelings, right? Because they're expecting for you to support them. This is how you use the deceptive arts to gain or to get those emotional wounds, that emotional pain. This is what it's about. Those tears, man. We want those tears, right? Let's continue. There's also another way to look at failure. If something hasn't worked out, does the world still turn? Life goes on. Or does life go on? Yes. Oh, I hate that. I hate that when people tell me life goes on. Really? Does life really go on? Is that what happens? The wind keeps blowing. Is that what happens? Huh? The waves still crash. Huh? Of course it does. I know it does, but oh, I hate it. I hate it when people tell me life goes on. And I know you hate it too. When something that's really bad happens and like somebody says, "Oh, it's just a part of life." If you want to upset me, tell me that it's a part of life. Like I don't know it's a part of life. You think I don't know this is a part of life? Yes, this is a part of life I'm trying to avoid. I know it's a part of life. I'm trying to overcome it. You know what I mean? I'm really getting upset. But yes, failure, me and failure, we don't go together. We don't go together. I'm not one for failure. Financial failure. Oh, you know what I hate? When you do like a job, when you do like a contract, and then they pay you well and you live well, right? So you do the contract. Oh, I hate this. You do the contract and they pay you well and you live well, and then at the end of the contract you find out you've spent all your money and you have nothing to show for that contract except the bonus that they give you when they kick you out the door. And you're like, this is only a month's extra salary. Yes. You know what I mean? That's how bonuses work. It's like a 13th or 2 months salary. That's all you get, right? It's like, or some people will have like years worth of bonuses left, right? And they'll accumulate to something meaningful. But I hate that. I hate doing a really good job, getting paid really well, and then living it up and having nothing to show for it at the end of that contract. That's terrible. That's how I would define failure, you know. And then somebody says, "Oh, it's part of life." Oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that, man. Undoubtedly, the answer is yes. So, accepting the possibility of failure before it happens is another way to lessen the blow. If and when you actually fail in the future, you're going to fail in the future. All of us are. It's guaranteed, right? Let me give you some advice on how to deal with failure. If you fail at something, what you need to do is destroy all the evidence that indicate that you ever even tried. If you went to university and dropped out or failed out or had a problem, you need to demonstrate to people that you never even tried. It was never in your interest. You always wanted to move in this direction. And because you were going to do sales for the rest of your life, you realized there was no point in going to university. The best thing you can do is get your experience. I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what you're going to say, right? But wherever you have failed, what you need to do is you need to wipe out that entire history of failure. Just destroy it and incinerate. Make sure there's no history or evidence for it, right? Now, being fired from a job and that kind of thing, that's one kind of failure. You're going to need to leave that failure there, but you need to turn that failure into a success. Instead of saying I got fired, just say it was a great learning experience and I learned and I gained a lot of experience. And the lessons, the very good things that I learned from there, I'm hoping to transfer them into this company, so I can show the best of myself and my history. But the things that were not successful, I'm hoping to leave those in behind and learn new skills while I'm here for the company, in order so that I could be the best and most productive employee that I can. I've learned a lot, but I've also grown a lot. And one of the things that I've learned is that a company is not about one person. It's not about me. It's about the team, it's about the corporation, it's about the culture, but more importantly, it's about the people that we serve and making sure that we leave a lasting impression in their minds and in their hearts. That kind of thing, right? That's the kind of thing that you want to say, in terms of being fired when you're looking for another job. You want to make that experience seem like it is a stepping stone to a better you. You don't want to be like mean and say, "Oh man, to hell with those people." No, no, you don't want that. You don't want that, because people are gonna say, "Well, that's how you're gonna treat us," right? And you're still bitter. They don't want to hire somebody that's bitter, right? But this is the end of a tremendous list, a very meaningful list of details. So this is really what you want to do, right? This is really what you want to do when you want to get your own back, when you want to affect these people, when you're wondering, how am I going to employ these deceptive arts in order to gain that emotional pain. I'm just gonna go through this list once again. It's important and worth repeating. One, you want to use rejection, right? Rejection, push them away. Two, wonderful one is betrayal. Oh, glorious list. Three, abandonment. Isn't that just a nice one? Nobody's gonna see abandonment coming. You say you'll be there for them, and then you just leave them to falter. Four, humiliation. This one might require some planning, but there's always room to improvise, right? You're looking to humiliate someone, you'll always get an opportunity. Five, biasness and injustice. Make it always try to seem like you're the one that's receiving the bias, or you are being biased against that person, just to hurt them, fundamentally. And then obviously talk about their failures, rub their failures in their face, and that'll hurt them. That'll hurt them, right? And you use your deceptive arts to try and to hurt them emotionally in order to get them to respond in various ways and try to do other silly things, and thereby you can always gain an upper hand in skillful social manipulation, right? Use deception. Don't shy away from it. There are moments where the truth is not on your side. You don't have to worry about the truth. These are not issues for us, right? Let honest people worry about the truth. We, the practitioners of the deceptive arts, we will go another way. Just stick with what works. Huh? Just stick with what works. And deception, especially in a social sense, will always work for you. Professionally, be careful. Be very careful, right? Lie by omission. Say nothing. Say nothing, right? Rather than saying you didn't do it, just say you don't know, right? Just say you don't know. But out there in these wild, wild jungle streets, right? If you're over there in Jungle Avenue, out there in the streets, you want to be very careful. You want to be very careful with who you trust, right? But if they're coming, you know the enemy is always coming. You need to be ready with one or two low blows, a few sucker punches, right? Something that they're not anticipating, something that they won't see coming. Aim for the heart, hit them in the heart, affect their emotions, their feelings, hurt their feelings, man. And it'll be fine. It's perfectly legal, by the way. It is perfectly legally sound. Go ask a lawyer. Do I go to jail for hurting somebody's feelings? Nope. Not one single person ever went to jail for hurting somebody's feelings. Physical violence, out of the question, right? There's no strategy for us there, right? We want tears, many, many tears, and snot and sweat. Oh, you want that. You want them when they cry, their face turns bright, bright, with anger. That's the color they must be, right? It mustn't be like green or blue or red. It must be whatever that color is, it must be bright. And they must sweat and heart palpitations and then tears. Oh, we need the tears. And then the snort. Now you got snort, you got sweat, and you got tears. You got veins popping, they're gripping, muscles are tension, stomach is turning. The soul is shattered. This is what we want. Success, man. Don't you want that? Don't you want that? I know you do. I know you want it for your enemies and the people that you hate, and you can have it. I want you to have this satisfaction for your own progress in the deceptive arts. So, as you are going out there in the world, practice these skills, practice being annoying, practice being underhanded, and I promise you, you will only get stronger in your deceptive arts. Oh, but please use these for revenge. Oh, if you embrace the spirit of revenge along with secrecy, your deceptive arts will only thrive. You will be finding creative ways that you could not even think about to tear apart your enemies. Just remove violence. Once you remove violence in your vengeance, you just open up a wealth of indirect options, and deception and creativity. You just tap into a well of creativity that otherwise would have been blocked off by something as primitive as using violence, which is illegal and is gonna get you to end up in jail anyway, right? But yes, think about it. Think about it. Practice your deceptive arts. Read the works of Sun Tzu. Get the audiobook. Listen to it every day. Sun Tzu's The Art of War. It is our philosophy in the deceptive arts. This is our manuscript, and this is where our ideas will stem from. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it, and I always will. As usual, I'm going to ask you to please like the video if you have enjoyed the content. Share it with other Please share the video with other like-minded people, other people who you know will be interested in getting a vasectomy, people who want to become vasectomites, who want to be free from the rigors of the romance wars, right? Invite them to join our evolution, invite them to grow beyond the limits of mankind, to freeze their sperm and get a vasectomy. Please, if you would like to remain part of the conversation, please leave a comment and I will do my best to respond as soon as I can. I'm pretty much always online, and so if I get a notification, I'm gonna go straight to it and see what's happening. Right? So I'm here, I'm real, and I'm doing the thing. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, and I'd like to wish you a wonderful, wonderful day.